In your review of the 1996 classic Christmas film, The Preacher's Wife.
Fans, oh, Merry Christmas, nigga. Yes. Hope everyone has had a very Christmas as we are in the holiday season. I felt it was the right time to put up another Christmas retrospective review. And folks, this is a review that I actually did 4 years ago. So the year was 2018. I was still back in merry old England. And this was the Preachers. This is the 1996 Christmas movie, The Preacher's Wife, starring Denzel Washington, Courtney B. Vance, and the legendary Whitney Houston. So this was back in 4 years ago. So first of all, apologies for the camera quality. Didn't have the luxury GoPro Hero 7, so camera quality isn't the best. The sound isn't that great, but still, I thought it was great to put around this time of the holiday season. So yes, again, if you do love the video, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And also, if you do have any video requests, definitely hit me up in the comment section, or you can contact me on social media. So that being said, enjoy this Christmas re-upload review of The Preacher's Wife.
So, The Preacher's Wife, another fantastic film that came out in my favorite era, the 90s, of Mr. Denzel Washington and Miss Whitney Houston. So around this time, this was 1996, Whitney Houston was able to capture like the hearts of America with her angelic, sweet voice that transcended even race, you know what I mean? She became she basically became like the #1 music talent, you know, and because of her successful, how mainstream she got from exposing like her incredible voice, she was able to Hollywood was able to look at her and basically said, wow, we could actually put this like nice, beautiful black sister in a Hollywood film. And the first one that was actually offered to her, we all know, it was The Bodyguard, co-starring Kevin Costner, which came out, I believe it was a couple years just before this. And she also appeared in the film Waiting to Excel, you know. So Whitney Houston was appearing in, you know, movies here and there, you know, but around this time, especially during the 90s, with the whole like to have like a black lead woman as an actress, that's very unheard of, you know what I mean? The roles were few and far between. Even as beautiful as Whitney Houston was, you know, God rest her soul, you know, to have her in a major motion film was, they just weren't giving them roles, you know. Rather than having her, they would want like a Julia Roberts, you know, more they wanted that kind of like universal appeal, you know. So it's like you always saw like them in like supporting characters, you know. Even in this is obviously a black film, you know, but it's like it's still like a major motion film, because Denzel Washington at this time, he was like the hottest actor in the planet right at this time, you know. Even People's Magazine granted him the sexiest man alive title, you know. So he was the biggest thing since a hot white omelette, you know. Thank you for the rock for that amazing quote. But like Denzel was like the man, you know, around this, you know what I mean? Because what they were doing in Hollywood, because Denzel Washington was so big, he was black, but he was so big that they always put him as top billing. Then they would always kind of find like a white leading actress to play beside him, you know. It was Courage Under Fire with Meg Ryan, The Pelican Brief with Julia Roberts, and a few other ones like Virtuosity, I think it was like Kelly Lynch and that. So you know what I mean, because Denzel was so marketable. But you know, it's one of the things that Hollywood can't have too many of. Like, okay, you got this marketable black guy who even white women like love him because he's so dreamy, you know. But like they couldn't have like always like have a black female playing opposite aside him. It happened in a few cases, but most of them were black produce, you know, like what was producing it, like, you know, Mo Bear Blues, Malcolm X, of course, and He Got Game. Obviously in Hollywood they need to see their kind of people, if you get what I mean, because this was this nice like crisp film, you know, to watch during the holiday. And you know, when I was watching this, it just reminded me of like the first time I was watching Home Alone, because Christmas is such like a family, you know, together time, you know, where you want to sit down and just like, you know, be reminded of like you know, people just like living in harmony, you know, which really is very established in this film, you know. And I feel like you know, definitely like Denzel and Whitney Houston, they bring their own qualities into this motion picture, you know. And you know, obviously we've got like the supporting cast, which I'll run down. You've got I think it's Courtney B Vance, let's check it. Courtney B Vance, you know, who appeared in I think everyone will know, to you know, his notable role was in the O.J. Simpson TV show, you know. I think it was The People versus O.J. Simpson, where he played the late great Johnny Cochran. You know, it's like he's just a powerful actor, you know. He's a guy who's guy who currently is married to Angela Bassett, you know, which is which is so terrific. You've got two dual, you know, who are together, you know, great actors, you know. So like with Courtney B Vance, you can't go wrong, you know. And you've also got you've also got Jennifer Lewis, you know, the auntie in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Was like Diva, her, you know, she her voice is so iconic, yeah, like the everyone who's like watched Fresh, she comes in the season 2 of Fresh Prince, you know, and she's appeared in a lot of like not the 90s sitcom. She appeared in like A Different World. I think she was the principal in the 6th season, and she also was the in the Living Single. She appeared in a few as like a talk show host and that. But you know, Jennifer Lewis has been here and there. She's a very to the point comedian. Also, who makes a appearance, you know, for a short amount of time is Lionel Richie. You know, hello. He appears in this, you know, when Whitney Houston, you know, is in the film doing like you know, performance and it's just a small short cameo, but everything that was in there was needed just to see Lionel Richie on screen, because you don't really see him too many in like TV or films, you know, like features and that. So to see him here, you know, it's just a great you know, just a great moment. And also also the other woman who appears is Loretta Devine, who she's again just another great black actress, you know. She also appears like in Soul Food. She appeared in Crash. I mean, you've seen her in many films and TVs there. And what I found dug some research that she was actually you know, gospel singer, so she's very in tune with spirituality and church, you know, which is tremendous. So I had never ever seen this film like forever, you know what I mean? Like I've always known about The Preacher's Wife. I knew that like that was Whitney Houston and Denzel's, you know, first collaboration on screen, but I'd never ever seen it, even if it was shown on cable back in the day, or later on. They never put it on Netflix. I mean, Netflix, what are you doing? But like I've never ever seen it, you know. So like you know, just literally like, you know, after just watching it, you know, I honestly think it's such a cool film. As I said, like I get you know, that kind of just feeling of that Christmassy time, you know. But let me tell you a bit about the plot. Yeah, so how the plot works is Whitney Houston's character is married to Courtney B Vance's character. They've been married for like, you know, almost to a decade, and they have like a lovely, adorable son. What has happened is Courtney B Vance's character, he's allowed like work and his commitments to the church take his toll in life, you know. So even though he's like you know, he's a responsible and he's a breadwinner and he's taking care of his family, he doesn't get too much time to spend with the family, you know. And this creates a lot of like stress, you know. Whitney Houston was like, she met him through church, you know. She met him, she was part of the choir and that, you know. And it's like, as they got married, they you can kind of see like the spark is gone in their relationship, you know. And at this time, you know, Courtney B. Vance's character, he's so out of luck, man. He's just like, you know, everything is going possibly wrong. So at one moment he actually goes down and he asks for like, you know, a prayer, you know, as we all do, you know, in times of like, you know, a despair. You know, we look up to the heavens and ask for the big man upstairs for like some aid and support. And just so happened God was watching at this time, you know. So he sends down an angel to earth, you know. And this angel is in the character, it is basically the president of Denzel Washington. So like, yeah, you know, Denzel comes into the scene, and what it is he basically wants like you know, Courtney, he basically wants Courtney's character to basically like, you know, take more control of like what's going on, you know. He wants him to become more of a family man. He doesn't want, because he has something special, you know, with like with his wife, you know. And he basically was saying that to say like, you know, it's all good for like work here and there, but you need to make sure you spend time with the people who are special, the people who count, you know what I mean. And it's like what happens is like, he's at the start, he's very like he can't really tolerate Denzel. He's just like, who is this guy, you know. He's saying he's from God, I mean, who is this guy, you know what I mean. But as time passes on, Denzel spends more time with Whitney Houston, because they're so, her and Jennifer Lewis, his mother, like, you know, like just saw Denzel, it's like, that's a good looking guy, you know. Whitney Houston, you can see like she starts to have like an affection for Denzel, because Denzel is completely the opposite of Courtney B's character, you know. He's so charming. He always puts like, you know, the kid that they have, you know, he's always there to look out for him, you know. He takes them out, you know, to have fun, you know. He's more just sociable, where Courtney was just like always head down, work, I always got to put the church first, I always got to put the church first. So it feels like in some scenes that wait, you know, the angel is trying to move on to the married woman, you know what I mean. And that's what happens, because like I said, the Courtney B is so involved in his work, he doesn't have time to spend with his family. And I think that's actually a real talk, that's actually a serious thing that happens in a lot of families. Why I think a lot of kind of like you know, couples who do get together and do decide to have a kid, sometimes like one of the half is working too much, so they don't see each other. So like they sometimes they try sometimes to fill that void of loneliness, you know. And especially when someone like Denzel literally just lands on your doorsteps, it's very difficult to say no, you know, even though you are basically technically married. You know, sometimes this temptation is very a hard thing to you know, like pour away. You gotta be very strong willed and disciplined, you know what I mean. You can kind of see through the story when Houston's getting pushed in, you know what I mean. But what I really love with the film is because like you know, the marriage is very troubled, you know. I mean, if Denzel didn't come into this, it could have obviously led to separation, then divorce, you know what I mean. But Jennifer Lewis, a character in this, she actually near the I think it's the third act of the film, she walks with Denzel home and basically says that, you know, Denzel, you're such a charming, likable guy, but you know, my daughter Whitney Houston is married, so basically you can't step your shoes in this house. Basically, you know, you gotta do that somewhere else, you know. Which I think that's a definite, you know, a great, you know, moral to put, because at the end of the day, the woman's married, you know what I mean. You shouldn't, you know, be stepping on someone's property unless like they're a free agent, you know what I mean. So it was really, really nice for Jennifer Lewis' character to say that, You know what I mean? So when that kind of happens, because at that near like the close quarters of the end, they're spending, Denzel and Whitney Houston spending so much time together. Even the scene when Lionel Richie drops in, they're in like kind of like a jazz kind of club where Whitney Houston actually sings like, you know, one of I think it's off the soundtrack for this, you know, or it may have been one of her albums of the time. I don't know, but she sings one of her, like, you know, she's just a stellar voice, man. You know what I mean? It's so sad that, you know, she's not with us anymore, but you know, they going back onto it, they're spending so much time together. You know what I mean? And you could kind of see just Courtney's jealous. The guy Courtney B. Vance he was basically like, you know, the main pastor for the church, you know, and he had a friend who he grew up with who basically wanted to crush down the church and make it into a mall. You know what I mean? He said like he had some money that he could, you know, sort out the community, you know, provide people jobs, but he wanted to start with getting rid of the church. You know what I mean? And he was saying like the church is a very symbolic place, you know, where a lot of people need to come to, you know, like everyone, no one's perfect, you know what I mean? A lot of people have made mistakes, you know, over the years, you know, and he said that the church is for some people to basically not allow, you know, basically like Satan or negativity to consume you, you know. It's a way to find that faith. It's basically hope, you know what I mean? So to crush something that in a community where a lot of people don't see hope is a very like a big put down, you know. You can't do that, you know. So he was that you can kind of see at one point he was with it. He was like, well, you know, if I can get this community, obviously it's more cash in my pocket, ching ching. But he was like thinking like, you know, sometimes like money isn't everything, you know. Sometimes you have to stand up for what you believe in, you know. And he went from Courtney B. Vance's character, it's very nice on him because at the start he goes from a troubled marriage who was just only concerned about, you know, getting that payday to like, you know, basically, you know, saving his marriage at the end, and you know, more concerned about the family, you know, and the loved ones rather than, you know, this kind of like dirty money. And what I really love about it is because Denzel, when he sees Courtney B. Vance starting to change, you know, because like I said, Denzel's an angel in this, so sometimes he does this kind of like miraculous things, you know. One time he blows and you know, Courtney B. Vance and Whitney Houston fall into each other, so he kind of has these kind of like special abilities, you know what I mean? It's shown that he was you know, he was an angel. But like I love how like, because it's clear that them two are falling for each other. Then after the talk with Whitney Houston's mom, played by Jennifer Lewis, Denzel, you know, steps back and he says, yeah, honestly, on the different circumstance, you know, if he wasn't married and had a kid, I would, you know, obviously try my luck, but with the situation, she's married, I have no way to do that, you know. So he steps back, and later on you just see that Denzel mostly takes a back seat in the film, and like it allows Courtney B. Vance and Whitney Houston's characters to, you know, re-blossom their, you know, the fire, you know what I mean, that they had when they first met each other, you know what I mean. And it's just a nice like from where the film begins to where it ends, you know, just a nice like you know, a way like how a marriage can be saved, you know. Sometimes just taking time to spend with your loved ones, you know, it helps in a long way, you know. About the soundtrack, because that just the music's, you know, like she has like a solo at the end of the film, and also the one at the party where Lionel Richie appears sing. It kind of got me goosebumps, even though I didn't know the album and that. I would just get like that kind of like feeling like, man, this is just, it just draws you in, because, you know, her voice is just so, you know, watching this like, you know, beautiful woman. The real tragedy of like Whitney Houston is like, you know, how things did fall into, you know, like her demise, you know, with like, you know, the relationship with Bobby Brown, the extensive use of drug use, you know what I mean. It's such a mad shame, you know, how she, you know, went that kind of avenue, you know, because she was again one of them ones who left us too soon, who was destined for great things. Because it's funny, because when you see her, it's like, especially this film, you're like, how could this, like, you know, gorgeous woman ever be involved in that kind of nonsense, you know? And there must have just been a real dark side that that was never presented for Whitney Houston in front of the cameras. Especially, I know later after we saw like how much weight she lost and that, you know, what was, you know, happening behind closed doors, you know. But it's like, it's a good thing with looking at this is sometimes never judge a book by its cover, you know what I mean? A lot of people do, you know, keep a lot of secrets and that, and yeah, it's just a real shame when you see like what happened to her, man. Honestly, who would I recommend this to? First of all, this is a very good like Christmas film, you know. I mean, if you want to watch this for like, you know, just to get you into that season and that, it's a nice film just to watch the with the family, you know. It's a universal suitability, you know, so anyone can watch it, you know, your kids, your aunties, you know. It's a nice like sit together film, you know. But what I think of it is, what I really got out of this, it touched on so much of like when, you know, couples get married and the spark starts to die, you know what I mean? And in this one, it touched on more of like where the husband was putting his work in that instead of like his actual wife and the kids, you know. Because, you know, in this film, like when Houston's not actually you know, she's not like job driven, you know what I mean? She's like more family, like I've got the kid, I've got my mother here, I'm more about getting this family. And, you know, Courtney B. Vance is just all about breadwinner, it's about work, you know. So it really just like illustrates to me of like, you know, when you do kind of get married, it's kind of like it's a joint, you know, it's a partnership, you know. So, you know, you've got to spend some time evenly, you know, not saying spend all the time together or not spend time at all. There's got to be a certain balance between both participants, you know, because it's a marriage, you know, it's like a relationship, you know. It's like you marry not only your lover and your best friend, you know what I mean? And you can just kind of see how Courtney B. Vance's character, he starts to realize that near the end, you know what I mean? And it was obviously with, you know, the angel Denzel coming into this part, you know what I mean? Because yeah, it just looks like the way how it is in the beginning, like how these lot ever gonna last like a month you know, of marriage, you know, because it's just like you know, arguments, they're never talking. He hasn't got time for this. He's more focused about like what's he gonna do with the church and that. When the spark dies, and in this case you got the sexiest man alive at this time coming to your doorstep, it's very easy just to fall into that temptation, even though she was a married woman at this time, you know what I mean? So how do you find ways to be like, well, I loved you because of this, and you love someone, you know, try, you know, if you really care about someone, try go for, you know, all the ways to keep them, you know what I mean? Make sure you keep, I'm not sure should be an even partnership, you know, you got to do this together, and especially when they have the kid, you know, that's obviously like the responsibility as well. If anyone has seen The Preacher's Wife, please let me know what you think about it. Because not taking time to watch like a big hit from the 90s, so I said yeah, definitely. And yeah, it was just a nice, you know, it was just a nice you know, Christmas movie. Even when I was watching this, I just felt like, you know, them times when I watched like Toy Story for the first time or Home Alone, you know, I mean, them nice you know, Christmas films, you know. So yeah, man, if anyone has watched this, please just let me know about it. So guys, thanks again for watching this 90s review on The Preacher's Wife. Stay tuned because I will be back with a few other vids from the 90s, and we're gonna reviews the next one, and stay tuned for the next one because that's gonna be a spectacle.